What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. By the time you guys hear this, happy Thursday, or maybe Wednesday, or maybe Thursday. It all depends on how Matt Selz' schedule plays out for the rest of this week. We know Matt, busy as always, doing God knows what, and that by that I mean everything. But welcome into the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Baseball Podcast. No, I am not Colby Conway. Yes, that is Matt Selz on the other side of the glass. I am James Grande. Colby, I think he's doing snorkeling somewhere.
He's on vacation. I don't know where.
Yeah, I mean, he's on vacation. Colby's always on vacation, living the good life. Except the fact he's a Pirates fan. That's probably not the best life to live.
And
but
the Texans fan.
I'm a Texas fan. It's not very good very often for Colby. Sad to see J.J. Watt retire. The Pirates did a hype video for Vince Velasquez. So not a lot of things going well for Colby in sports world these days. But Matt, thank you for having me on. What's going on with you, brother? How's the beginning of spring training been for you?
I'm good. So far, I have dodged bullets with my keepers. I had to submit my keepers today, and so far I have dodged bullets with those. But I don't draft until the end of the month, so I've got like another 3.5 weeks to dodge bullets over here at the rate that these guys are getting injured in freak occurrences and whatnot. So we shall see. But today, I'm all right.
Yeah. All right. Good. Today is what matters. We will worry about what's to come in the baseball world. We know that there will be plenty more injuries to come, unfortunately. Nothing we can do about those, especially with players being sped up in every facet of the game, not really used to the way that the speed of the game is being played at. So I'm sure people are going to tweak things more often early on. And it is what it is. Before, I don't know if you and Colby have talked about it yet, but a quick take. What's your opinion on the speed in which pitchers and batters are being asked to, play at? Like, what is your initial takeaway from watching this first week of spring training?
I think it's fantastic. I don't think it's too fast. I think it cuts out all of the Nomar Garciaparra regripping of the gloves in between every pitch he never swung at.
Pedro Baez throwing one pitch in the time that an entire at bat is being played out.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I think he went 2.5 minutes between throwing pitches.
2.5 minutes. Yeah.
And didn't even do anything. Like, he grabbed the rosin bag, and then he decided on which 4-pitch sequence he liked better, and then went through the signs again, and then, like, I don't know. I love the speed of the game. Like, the fact that you're getting 6-5 games and you're getting scoring, and it's not more than 2 hours and 45 minutes,
right.
Like, that's great. The Nats and Astros played a 3-2 game that went to the 10th inning, and it ended in 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like, it's just fantastic. Like, this is what baseball should have done a while ago. The speed of the game was ridiculous. I think everybody knew it was because every batter stepped out every single pitch and regripped and undid his belt and redid his belt and had to think through what pitch he just saw. Like, you're not a professional hitter who's seen thousands and thousands and thousands of pitches. Like, look, Max Scherzer struck out Joey Meneses in 27 seconds the other day. And no, there was not an automatic strike call. That was a legit strikeout in 27 seconds.
Bullying. That's called bullying, Matt. Bullying.
I mean, yes, but I have no problem with the pitch clock. How about you?
I like the pitch clock. I'm a little indifferent about the automatic strike and ball scenario when the pitch count is reached. Obviously, there has to be means to an end with the pitch clock. You can't just have a pitch clock and be like, okay, we're gonna nothing happens at the end, because then no one's gonna abide by it, right? So I understand
the salary cap in the NBA.
Yeah, like the salary cap, right? But I think it's just something that I have to get used to. I just don't want games to end on something like that, and we saw it. At least not the game end, but it was bases loaded, 3-2 count in I forget which pre spring training game, and They called strike 3, and then or it was top 9, and then they went to the bottom 9 because the inning. Like, I don't want that to happen in a regular season game, or September, October. So I'm happy we're getting used to it now, and I think this spring training, maybe more than ever, maybe the most important for everyday players to get as many at bats as possible to get acclimated to it, right? So
yeah, which is interesting because there's the WBC and they don't have a pitch clock.
Right. So I wonder if players will just still do like rhythmic things that they're doing in professional baseball, because you play the WBC for quite a while, and then that's probably going to creep back into your routine, and then it's like, oh wait, I have to adjust again, and then you're striking out on automatic strike. So I like it. I just don't want it to hinder very important games later on in the year. Even during the regular season, maybe, and let's say you lose out on like a division by half a game, you're like, oh well, that could have been avoided.
I mean, that's true, but I will play devil's advocate today that 6 months from now, and they will have played 160 something games,
fair.
Or 150 something games with a pitch clock.
Fair.
Not to mention, if you're losing a division by a half game, I guarantee you there are about a
lot of other
reasons differently, other than get in the box 1 second. I mean, sure, there's going to be people, just like there were after the Super Bowl with the hold call that they admitted was a hold, like Bradbury admitted it was a hold. And they said, well, you can't call it then. Okay, well, then what's the point of the pitch clock if you're not going to call it through the course of a normal game, right? So, like, I guess we'll come to that bridge when we get there, but they've had it for, I don't know, a week, and it's made a market improvement, and there's only been a couple of calls against, like, Machado, the first pitch Machado ever faced, he got called on an automatic strike. Right. But after that, he's been fine, and he hasn't had a problem with the pitch clock, and he said, look, that's on me. I'll get faster. It'll be all right. But, yeah, I don't think there's going to lead to more injuries, though, because, like, in the minors, they've had this for a couple of years, and there has not been an increase in, there's been a standard amount of injuries.
Okay. So, well, ding, our time's up here. We're on the pitch clock. Our pitch clock is now over. On to the next time. No, just kidding. Yeah, I like what baseball is doing to speed up the game. I think anything to speed up the game will attract more youth into the game, which is obviously, as of right now, the target audience. Let's shift into some notes here, and you have it on the top of the show sheet. Injuries. That is what you listed, and you couldn't have been more spot on. Starting off with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who lost their starting shortstop for the year, Gavin Lux, due to a torn ACL. He is going to miss the entire 2023 season. So I ask you, Matt, what is the Dodgers' immediate and long-term solution to fill the position at shortstop?
I think right now their immediate solution is to play Miguel Rojas.
Agreed.
There. I think they could stick Chris Taylor there if they want to. I'm not sure they will. I think Rojas, at least defensively, doesn't kill them, right?
Sure.
Bat-wise, you're going to lose something between Lux. Well, what they hope to have from Lux and what you anticipate getting from Rojas. Yep. But defensively, Rojas will be fine. They can make up offense from a few other places. They have a fairly deep farm system that they can call some guys up from to play. I'm not sure that we see a shortstop prospect come up, but in the long term, I don't know that they make a trade. Yep. Like, I've seen people going, well, they're the Dodgers, they can just make a move. Like folks are like, well, you could trade for IKF. Okay, but is that actually an upgrade?
Right.
So,
well, not defensively, I'll tell you that. It's not defensively.
They already bailed the Yankees out once by trading for Gallo last year. I don't think they're going to bail them out again by trading for a reserve utility infielder. So I think they roll with Rojas. Does it take a hit for offensive stats for some other folks? Yeah, but I think they're still if they're not the best team in that division, they are very close to the best team in that division.
Right.
And the other three are not that close. So it's a 2-horse race. We'll see what they do come trade deadline, but right now they're not going to. I think they just roll with Rojas.
Yeah, Rojas is obviously, I think, the immediate option. And you mentioned Chris Taylor. He has had like 250 career games at short. So, like, if Rojas is an absolute zero offensively, I could see Chris Taylor getting more and more starts at shortstop. I was also thinking, and I don't know if it's kind of like a lateral move. Jose Iglesias is a free agent right now. He had a really good year, surprisingly offensively last year in Colorado. And when you look at the splits, and I think immediately people are like, well, he played in Colorado. When you look at Jose Iglesias' splits last year, he was better outside of Coors Field than he was in Coors Field. And I think we know Jose Iglesias is obviously an elite glove. Is he, again, lateral move to Rojas potentially there? Definitely an upgrade in the bat. I mean, we're talking about a guy last year. He hit 292 last year. Career now 279 for a guy that was expected to never really hit, right? 33 years old. Just an option I was thinking of. Still a free agent, right? I think he's personally an upgrade over Rojas, especially if he's going to provide, moderately the same offensively. 290 last year, again, not expecting 290. What if he had 280? That's an upgrade over Rojas, right?
Yes, that's definitely an upgrade over Rojas, for sure. That's a good name to watch for sure. There's been a little bit of a flurry of signings, and we'll get to a few of them in a little bit this week to like minor league deals as depth guys. And I mean, he played in LA. I mean, yes, it was for the Angels, which everybody forgets about in LA, but he has played in that market, right? So, and
he started his career in Boston too. So like he's been in big markets. He's been in big markets before.
Yeah.
His glove will carry in any market. I mean, he can pick it. And the offense is a plus. That's why I think, and if we got to a situation, we'll just run. Let's say Iglesias were to sign. Okay, let's rapid fire this. Rojas, without Iglesias, fantasy viable or no?
Rojas without Iglesias?
Yeah, if he's the everyday shortstop. If Chris Taylor becomes the starting shortstop, fantasy viable or no?
Fantasy viable, yeah.
And then if Iglesias were to be signed and start every day, fantasy viable or no?
In that lineup, yeah, probably.
Desperation calls for desperate.
I mean, I'm not saying like in a 12-team league he's your starting shortstop,
right?
But if you're in a deep, like a 15-teamer,
15 teamer, yep,
maybe a middle infield option.
NL only league potentially. All right, let's move on.
Profar's still out there.
Yep, Profar's still out there. We know Profar's played all 9 positions before, so we'll see. Let's move on to another injury. Someone who is oft injured, someone who is not unfamiliar with injuries, and it's unfortunate. Once the headliner of a big trade going from the Pittsburgh Pirates to the Tampa Bay Rays, Tyler Glasnow. I mean, look, he just has not stayed healthy. And now we're looking at a guy who potentially is going to miss 2 months with an oblique injury. And that's out 2 months. Who knows if it's out 2 months and then start ramping up, if it's out 2 months, including the ramp up period. Currently, since the start of the new year, on NFC, he is the 33rd pitcher, including relievers, coming off the draft board. Stocks have to be down on Tyler Glasnow, right?
I mean, obliques are notoriously tricky injuries that can linger, even if you think they're they're 100% healed, you could go out one start and yank it and then miss another month. So this is unfortunate. I know everybody was excited to see Glasnow back on the mound after his injury. Says stemming from
which time?
Well, his injury stemming from what he says was losing the sticky stuff mid-season.
Right.
But I'm with you. I'm not sure if the 6 to 8 week time frame is when he can get back to a pitching regimen, or if that's when they expect him to be game ready. Because if it's game ready, that makes a big difference, right?
Correct.
If it's back to pitching, you've got to add on at least another month.
Right. And then
because he hasn't built up innings. So
right. And you're right. It's another month before he's even being ramped up for another month. Then we're looking at like June where he's fully ramped up.
Yeah.
Maybe
because he's got to start on flat ground, and then he's got to throw from the mound, and then he's got to start building the innings in minor league rehab starts. And so
look, these are the names being drafted around
anytime soon. I'm not touching Glasnow anytime soon.
These are the guys around him right now, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Helsley, Felix Bautista, Tristan McKenzie. These are the starters being drafted. I'll just go starters. McKenzie, Robbie Ray, George Kirby, Hunter Green, Severino, Logan Gilbert, Logan Webb, Blake Snell, Nestor Cortez. I'm literally taking every single one of those names before Glasnow, and there's not even a consideration for Glasnow in that range.
Correct.
I am very down on a guy that, I mean, we could say this. What you started your Tyler Glasnow breakdown with is what every MLB podcast has started with when mentioning Tyler Glasnow since the start of his career. Because 114 innings is his max, 14 starts is his max in any year. Like some talented players in all sports just never get a chance to showcase their true abilities. And I'm not calling it curtains on Tyler Glasnow by any stretch of the imagination, but I think we do have to temper our expectations moving forward with Tyler Glasnow.
Mark Tompkin, who is the Rays beat writer for the Tampa Bay Times.
The Times, yep.
His article that came out, what's the date on this? Published the 28th of February. The opening sentence is the Rays' top right-handed starter, Tyler Glasnow, will be sidelined until at least late April due to an oblique strain.
Okay, so that sounds like the end of April. That mean
that he's... So then the second one says Glasnow was injured during live batting practice. A Tuesday morning MRI revealed a grade 2 strain and an initial timetable that he will need 6 to 8 weeks to return to major league game action.
Okay, so the 2-month span is I'll be back
from now until getting back on an MLB mound. So if he's only missing a month, not terrible.
Yes, but it's still like okay.
It's dicey.
So we're getting onto a mound, right?
Yes.
We saw this last year. He comes back for the 2 regular season games, and then he makes the 1 postseason start. No game over 50 pitches or 60 pitches, whatever he threw. And then now he's missing the following spring training, all of it. Not a single outing. Done for the spring training. Now we're ramping up. So even if he's back on the mound, middle of
you may not get September out of him.
Middle April, right? That's what we're thinking. If at the earliest.
Yeah.
So at the earliest mid-April. He is not ramped up as a starter until into May. And if it's the latter stages, it's late May. Then we get June, July, August, September, maybe.
You also have to figure out, he went down in June of 2021 with Tommy John.
With TJ, yep.
So you've got the short season in 2020. You have a half a season in 2021. Not pitching in 2020. When's the last time he had a full innings load? Has to be at least 2019.
Never. So I have it up right now. Here are his innings workload during his MLB career. 2016, 22 years old, 23 innings. 2017, 62 innings. 2018, he was traded to Tampa Bay, used as a reliever and a starter. Career high, 111 innings. That is his career high. 11 starts, 45 appearances. 2019, 60 innings.
Yeah.
2020, 57 innings. 2021, 88 innings. Last year, 6 innings. Even if he comes back in the middle of April at the earliest possible timetable, here's the over-under, Matt. I'm going to set an over-under for you. You're going to tell me over-under, because this is going to 75 innings this year for Tyler Glasnow. I think that's a fair over-under, because
I think he gets over it, but I'm not sure he cracks 100 by that much.
I was going to say, over or under 100? He's done it once. And we're starting the year with an oblique injury.
You figure he misses, 5 or 6 starts if he's coming back late April, and it's probably 6 starts, so the best you're hoping for is 28.
I mean, you have to think Tampa's cautious. Like, there's no way with his injury history that they're just like 6 weeks.
I mean, the most starts he's ever made in a season is 14.
Yeah, I do not see a scenario where like people can project him at like 125 innings. Like, maybe he cracks 100. Maybe. It's hard. It's really hard to get a read on where he is, because we want him to be great. He looks dominant when he's out there. Tell me he's going to be healthy. Just tell me. Just tell me that this.
Right. I mean, he also, he came back and made 2 starts last year and pitched 6.2 innings. So he went 6.2 innings.
Well, and then he made the playoff start where he looked really good, and it's like, oh wow, Tyler Glasnow, right? That's that dude when he's healthy. Like 2 years ago, he was going to win the Cy Young, or he was going to be in contention for the Cy Young, and then his arm fell apart. Or 2 years, 2021.
2021.
Like, the talent just pops off the page. There's no doubt there. It's just. Okay, final answer. 100 innings for Tyler Glasnow. Over or under?
Under.
Okay. I would not draft him in the top 50. I would probably not draft him. Let me just scroll through the names. I mean,
he's not going to get you enough innings to matter, even if his ERA and strikeouts are good. They're not going to wait enough to make that. Like, you're comparing him against a reliever for innings load at this point.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Tough blow for Tyler Glasnow. Tough blow for people that have already drafted Tyler Glasnow, because he's going to be, pitcher 31 with top 10 upside at full strength. Just we can't.
And no innings to prove it.
Unfortunate injury. Another injury. Joe Musgrove broke his toe. He is going to miss at least 1 month. What's your take on Joe Musgrove? He, like Tyler Glasnow, being drafted as pitcher 31, so slightly after Glasnow. Or slightly before Glasnow. What's your take on Musgrove and his fantasy outlook after seemingly gonna miss a month?
I'm not that concerned about this one. It's a toe. Yep. It's broken. It heals. He gets back. There's no soft tissue injury. It's not a Liz Frank thing. It's not a tendon. There's no surgery. Some dude dropped a plate, like a weight plate, on his foot, apparently. And look, if he misses a month, you're still talking he may get back by the second week in April. And then you're talking he misses maybe 2 starts.
Yep.
I mean, that's assuming that it heals well. But even if it doesn't, and he can put up with the pain, they probably just put him out there, because at some point it's just a broken toe. And it's not like it's an elbow or a rib or, something that you would have to have a concern about. It's
right.
It's a toe. It is on his drive foot, which is is it his drive foot or his plant foot? It's his left big toe.
Right. It's just plant.
It's his plant foot. So theoretically, if he can avoid, like if he can deal with the pain of putting his foot down, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I'm not concerned at all. This is a guy who's has made 30 starts a year over the last couple of years, and so that's suggesting he's missed a couple starts here and there, and this is his window to miss a couple starts, and he'll be old reliable Joe Musgrove. 3.18 ERA in 21, 2.93 ERA in 22. This is a guy I would take a shot on as pitcher 30 something off the board over Tyler Glasnow as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I like Musgrove. Not worried really at all about the injury.
And by the way, if he heals faster, he may only miss one. He may only get skipped the first time through the rotation. So
right. I mean, the arm. I'm sure he's going to. The throwing regimen is not going to stop because of a toe injury. So his arm will probably be as fresh as it would be. Someone who is not going to be as fresh as they could be going into opening day is Seiya Suzuki. He's dealing with an oblique strain. David Ross said there is no timetable yet, but it should be coming out shortly. What is your opinion on Seiya? 28 years old. We know he withdrew from the World Baseball Classic. Had a very wishy-washy rookie season in the MLB.
He was better when he came back from injury.
He was definitely better when he came back from injury. He also had like the most white-hot start of a career. Like he was incredible the first week, and then he was terrible, and then he got hurt, and then he was very solid.
Right.
What's your take on the injury here? And if he's forced to miss any time into the regular season, what's your take on his possible replacements as
well? So they said it's a mild strain. I don't know what that means.
They also just fail to they're like failing to disclose. They're also failing to disclose anything about it. They said mild, but it's like, okay, then why are we just not disclosing anything?
David Ross gave an interview that's on Twitter that's 28 seconds of him saying absolutely nothing. Like there's words coming out of his mouth, but nothing is said. They basically said we're going to go off how the guy feels. Okay, isn't that what you're always supposed to do? Like,
right? Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. That's helpful. I don't know. This one's tough for me because he really needed to hit the ground running a little bit to recoup from last year and get mojo going and whatnot. In terms of who his short-term replacement could be, I don't know. I think the Cubs could go a bunch of different ways. They have a very interesting roster.
It is the weirdest. It has to be the weirdest.
This year, you could put Trey Mancini in outfield. I mean, he could play there, right? He played in played outfield in Baltimore, so that's fine. Not great defensively, but he's also like not going to kill you, like sticking Nick Castellanos in the outfield. Zach McKinstry is a pretty decent defensive outfielder you could stick out there.
Dude, there's no weirder team in baseball. They are so weird. This team is so weird.
They're either going to score a bunch of runs and strike out a bunch, or score no runs and strike out a bunch. Like,
they're good. Yeah, the consistent there is they're going to strike out a bunch.
Yeah, Cody Bellinger in the middle of it is going to be just very interesting. We could see, I don't know, if Brendan Davis gets off to a hot start in the minors and say a Suzuki's going to be delayed, then maybe you see them call up Brendan Davis or Alexander Canario could be coming, but I doubt that they call those two up for such a short-term thing. I think the most likely thing is you see Trey Mancini in the outfield and they just plug some bat in DH, like Edwin Rios or Morel or Matt Mervis.
They've also Ross pitched the idea about Wisdom playing right field, which would put Morel at third, which he spent like the latter part of the year playing. So they could always do that. I think Morel is going to have
Mervis at the corner too.
Yeah. Yep. I like Morel. He just needs to not strike out so much and be so crazy at the plate. Like he swings
Yeah.
at everything. But there's a lot of potential there. I like the position eligibility. So I think he would be my primary target if Seiya were to miss extended period of time, because again, David Ross just no selling anything about this injury. Final
Well,
injury.
I think the Cubs, if everything goes right for them and things go wrong for the Brewers, could finish second in the NL Central.
Yeah, I mean, their pitching staff is very interesting. There's some high upside guys there. They definitely, like Tyone had a pretty good year with the Yankees last year. Justin Steele was a really good pitcher for them last year. Very high strikeout upside. And Adrian Sampson was pretty decent. Just Smiley, another guy who's never been able to stay healthy. And they revamped that bullpen. I like their bullpen.
They should get Hendricks back too.
Yeah, and they should get Kyle Hendricks back too. So they do have like a pretty solid rotation overall. And then like you said, I mean, their lineup is clearly the question mark of this team. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? They're also like, hey, maybe Cody Bellinger will figure it out again. And
I swear to God, if they can fix Cody Bellinger and the Dodgers can fix Jason Hayward, it's going to be the weirdest storyline that the two lefty outfielders switch teams and all of a sudden their swings work.
What's the movie? Is it where they like swap parents or something? Parent Trap, maybe? Is that what?
No, there's
I don't
Parent
know.
Trap where they're identical twins and then they swap. But then there's also
yeah.
Then there's
Yeah,
Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd.
Yes, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
They swap. One of them's rich, one of them's a guy off the street, and these two rich guys swap them and they trade stock picks and stuff. Yeah.
There you go. That's Cody Bellinger and Jay Hay.
Jason Avery.
Yeah. So, final injury we're dealing with here: Brendan Rodgers suffering a dislocated shoulder. Another just kind of timetable question mark. We're unsure. They said Bud Black indicated there will be more information on the timetable in the coming days. So, we should find out more about Brendan Rodgers shortly. But while we wait, how concerned are you? Again, nothing like concrete, so I don't know how worried we can be, but another guy who I think needed to very bad start to his 2022 season, pretty good finish to the 22 season. I feel like he needed to get off to a pretty good start too. What's your take on the Rodgers injury and where the Rockies can turn if it is in fact serious?
Yeah, so they were able to pop the shoulder back in. It happened when he dove for a line drive. They were able to pop the shoulder back into place on the field, but that doesn't mean that there's not damage around it, right? If something pops out, something likely got stretched or torn or, so the best case scenario is he stretched stuff too far and it just needs time to tighten back up and whatnot. So they sent him for an MRI on Wednesday. We'll have to wait and see what those results show and whatnot. But I think what I heard is them talking that they can move Ryan McMahon to second base and then play either Chris Bryant at third or Montero at third or even Nolan Jones at third base. So they've got some places they could go. I mean, in terms of fantasy value, though, Brendan Rodgers needed a good start because he's been as mismanaged as the Rockies have been over the last few years. It's hard to blame them for trying to do what they're doing with their middle infield when you have three dudes between Hampson and Rodgers and McMahon that come up at the same time and basically show the exact same skill set.
Right.
So hoping that it's not serious and it's just he needs like some time off in spring training and he'll be good to go. But if not, I think you see McMahon move from third base to second, and then they'll put maybe they can get something out of the Nolan Arenado replacement in Montero. I don't know.
Right. Montero, you looked good last year, Montero. At times. He had a good stretch of games. I don't think it hurts that he gets to hit in Coors Field. So I agree with everything you just said. Let's shift our focus away from the injuries and onto some signings this week. So Rougned Odor signed with San Diego. Elvis Andrus signed with the White Sox. Luke Voigt signed with the Brewers, and Michael Fulmer signed with the Cubs. So I'll ask, Matt, which of the four guys is the best fantasy asset headed into 2023?
For me, it depends on role. I think Odor might be. I think Fulmer's probably second. The reason I'm saying Odor is they need a lefty bat in that San Diego lineup. They don't have a great one.
They have a great mustache. I have a great mustache on one of their lefty bats. That doesn't count?
No, not so much. They also don't necessarily have a lockdown. Like, I mean, I know Kim's been good and whatever, but he's not really a lockdown second base option.
Yep.
Really? So I think that signing, I think Odor gets more playing time than people think he might. And then Fulmer, I think he's a sneaky good addition to that Cubs bullpen.
He could end up being the closer here.
He could. There's nobody like guaranteed that role right now. And Luke Voigt, it's a minor league deal with Milwaukee. I don't like Milwaukee at all. Like, I just can't figure out what they're doing. Aside from Burns and Woodruff, right? I like those two dudes. And then outside of that, I have a hard time seeing where anything comes from for Milwaukee. And Elvis Andrus, I know he filled in for Tim Anderson last year on the South Side, but Anderson's healthy, and I don't think he gets – I don't know, unless I'm reading his role completely.
They're projected to start him at second base. I mean, he's a better option than Louis Garcia, in my opinion. For Elvis Andrus, for whatever he's been, he was very good last year. After that trade,
that's fair.
I agree. I actually think Fulmer is the best addition of the four because he has as much closing experience as anyone on that team. A couple years ago, 14 saves. I mean, I guess like Boxberger has the most closing experience, but like Brandon Hughes is their projected leader in saves this year. He has 8 career big league saves. That was last year. His major league, that was the first time in the big leagues. But if he struggles, like the Cubs are not short on guys that could close games. I think Fulmer's a sneaky, like, if you haven't drafted or if you've drafted, pick up if you're, if you have deep rosters. I mean, this could be his job that he runs away with. He's looked good out of the bullpen the last couple of years. I'll go Andrus second because he is projected to start. I don't hate the Odor thing because you are right. Like Soto, Cronenworth, and then what are they going to get out of Grisham? Who knows? Like he's been so up and down. He was great in the postseason, terrible in the regular season. So I think Fulmer's 1 for me. I think Andrus is 2 if we can get second half of the year version, as opposed to the Oakland version, because the Oakland version was trash. Luke Voigt probably doesn't even make the team in Milwaukee. So I agree. Matt, over at Fantasy Alarm, have you heard about this little thing called the I think it's called the draft guide, right? The MLB draft guide.
We guide you in how to draft.
We guide you on how to draft. That's right, guys. The 2023 Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Baseball Draft Guide is available right now at fantasyalarm.com/draft guide, or is it MLB Draft Guide? MLB Draft Guide.
MLB Draft Guide.
And Matt, do you know what's better than paying money for something?
Getting it for free?
Getting it for free. And that's what this year's MLB Draft Guide is. It's free. $0, 0 cents. All you have to do is create an account at Fantasy Alarm and click to download. And you have all of the draft guide articles. I see, just looking at things, Colby Conway, Know Your Fantasy Baseball League Rules. Ryan Hallam coming out with the Fantasy Baseball Injury Report. Ryan Kirksey breaking down all the ballparks around the MLB. Matt Selz, the Matt Selz, on this podcast, MLB players affected by the shift. Everything you could want under the sun about the draft guide, including league strategy, high stakes, draft analysis. We just did a fantasy baseball mock draft the other day. Matt was in it. I was in it. I had the first pick. Obviously, I took Aaron Judge, the best player in baseball. Matt is giving me a face, but like it was my pick, so I don't care what he says.
Yeah, that's not who I would have gone with.
Yeah, no, neither would I, but that's what a mock draft is for, to see how different draft boards play out. I also do generally root for the Yankees. But I mean, everything under the sun here in the MLB Draft Guide, you can acquire for $0, 0 cents. That's fantasyalarm.com/MLB Draft Guide. $0, 0 cents. Free. And Matt, also out is the MLB cheat sheet. What is the link for the cheat sheet? fantasyalarm.com/MLB cheat sheet.
I believe it's MLB cheat, yeah, or MLB cheat
cheat.
sheet. It'll be in the menus. So if the links we just said don't work, it's fine. It'll be in the menus. There'll be a landing page that also has links to it, automatically downloads. It has a draft grid that breaks the draft down into half rounds, whether you're in an auction draft or a snake draft. Gives you like 300 plus, like it lays out an entire 29 round draft by the top of a round and the bottom of a round, and tells you the players who fit in there, where you should be drafting them by position. It has all sorts of rankings. It's got Howard Bender's mixed league rankings, AL and NL only rankings, top 300 rankings, my top 350 dynasty rankings, my top 400 prospect rankings are in there. It also has the entire articles of the top 10 sleepers, the top 10 busts, and the top 10 rookies, with not just rankings. The actual articles are in there with the text and whatnot. So it is a very simple one-stop shop for everything you need for your draft. And again, it's free.
It's free. And Menu Matt, that's what we call him here. We call #Menu Matt will have that for us. Probably by the time this pod is dropped, if not shortly after. Matt, before we get out of here, any final thoughts on everything around the diamond?
Yeah, I'll just say, you got to keep watching the flow of information.
Right.
Don't believe everything you read from managers who say, oh, this guy's going to go from having 6 at-bats last year to 600 at-bats this year. That's not going to happen. Nobody does that unless you get Wally pipped, which isn't going to happen because there's no Hall of Famer sitting behind him. Watch for some of the guys' injury results, like Brendan Rodgers, Seiya Suzuki. We still don't have an exact timeline on Joe Musgrove, so you got to watch for that and see how that's healing. And then, just, hope that your guys don't get injured. And if you have any questions, you can always hit us up in Discord. I was answering questions in there earlier today. Remember, if you're going to ask us questions, please give us all of the pertinent details. What kind of league it is, what the situation is. If you're saying, oh, should I trade Garrett Cole for this? Can we please know who your other starters are? Because if Garrett Cole and then there's a dumpster fire like the rest of the back half of the Yankees rotation, we're probably going to say no. if you have Cole and you've got like a Scherzer sitting there and you've got Bieber and you've got, a couple other dudes, we'll say, yeah, might be reasonable because you can afford to give them up. So remember to give us all the details before, we got to play 20 questions to get all of the details out of you. The more info you can give us, the better advice we can give you. And again, if you don't like the advice, you can follow your gut. You're not obligated to follow our advice. It's your team, your decisions. Follow your gut. And there you go. So just anytime you ask somebody questions, it's not just me, not just Grande, not just Colby, anybody, including on Twitter. I know there's a character count. Try to get as much detail in there as possible.
Well, there was a character count, Matt. Now you could type essays. You could type millions of characters if you want. And speaking of Twitter, where can they find you, Matt? At the Selzman, right?
Yep. TheSelzman.
And you can find me at _real_grande. Again, that is at the Selzman and at the_real_grande. Matt, big shouts to you. Big shouts to Colby snorkeling in the Bahamas right now. Big shouts to you guys in the FA Nation. I believe next week Matt is also going snorkeling. Colby will be back. Matt's going snorkeling. I don't know if I'm missing my timeline. Okay, 2 weeks. After. So Colby and Matt. Okay, and then see you later. Colby and Matt will be back next week. Me and Colby on the following week. Big shouts to everyone for listening. Thank you guys, and we'll catch you guys later.